Hello again. We are Chris Lee, Blake Lovell, Max Barr of Southeastern 14 here to preview South Carolina's game with Oregon in the NCAA tournament. The Gamecocks, the 6 seed, the Ducks, an 11 seed. You can catch this Thursday, 3 Central, before we preview the game. Reminder, this is brought to you by Bet Online. The tournament's here. Bet Online is your bracket headquarters for this season with the best bracket contest out there. Odds, lines, info on every game and every round right up to the national championship. You can access the most up-to-the-minute wagering information anytime from your desktop or mobile devices. Even track your bracket real-time all the way through the tournament. Head to BetOnline today. Get in on all the action. Remember to use promo code BELIEVE for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline. The game starts here. Well, everything with the Gamecocks starts with Father Lamont Paris, the SEC Coach of the Year, our Coach of the Year hands down, led a team picked 14th in the SEC to a national ranking. Incredible season. The Gamecocks had trouble with Auburn, which unfortunately they got in the SEC tournament and got smoked, run out of Nashville. But other than that, very successful season for the Gamecocks, who rode veteran guards and a star freshman, Colin Murray-Boyles, to a season that surpassed anybody's expectations. Gentlemen, I guess you could say Carolina struggled a little bit down the stretch of the season compared to the rest of the season. It lost 2 of its last 4 games, that's starting with Tennessee in Columbia, but it did beat Mississippi State and Arkansas in between before bowing out to Auburn. The Gamecocks are a team that just veteran savvy guards. Talon Cooper, Michi Johnson are so intelligent. They've got some beef inside with Josh Gray. They've got a lot of nice supporting parts. A team we've been really impressed with, and I think has got a chance to win a game or two in the NCAA tournament, Max.
Yeah, quick injury update first. South Carolina, a little bit banged up. Studi is day-to-day. The last update we got was on Sunday, and it was that he was going to try. It was his first day of practice, was going to be Monday. That was like the test practice to see how he's going to be. I haven't seen anything else. So Studi's day-to-day. Cooper left the Auburn game midway through the second half with an ankle injury. He said he came out and said he's good to go. Right from him, he said, I'm playing. Don't worry. So don't know about Studi. Cooper will be good to go. And then another interesting thing here, it's March. I like to pull on every little string I can. Distance traveled here, guys. South Carolina's got to go just up north about an hour, maybe a little bit more flight to Pittsburgh. Oregon is flying 7 hours across the country to get to Pittsburgh. I'm not saying South Carolina is going to pack the place out and have 1 million fans, but more so just Oregon's got to travel a long, long, long ways, and South Carolina doesn't. That's just one little piece of the story. But the main storyline here has got to be N'Faly Dante, the center for Oregon. Guy's an absolute monster. Was injured for a while. He's been injured almost every year he's been at Oregon. Struggled to stay on the floor. When he's on the floor, though, monster. Like Janai Broome type of, you're not coming anywhere near my paint, and I'm going to put up 20 and 15 on you. Really, really imposing. Doesn't foul either. He's got a great foul rate. He's played 30-plus minutes in the last 15 of 16 games he's played. So it's not like he's going to be in foul trouble. So that's concerning for me for South Carolina, because I just watched, both times South Carolina beat or lost to Auburn by 40 and 30 pretty much. And that's because they couldn't get anything inside. Broome just the eraser in there. And I'm worried about that because Dante can do the same exact thing that Broome does around the rim. Blake, what are you seeing?
That's the first thing I have at the top of my list here is I said, I'm not saying this is Auburn, but there are some things, one big thing in particular, and that is Dante, that is somewhat similar to Auburn. And that is a little worrisome in terms of the matchup because we did see what, Broome did, especially just kind of imposing his will. And that worries me a little bit. Sure, it does in this game for sure. And of course, you look around the Jermaine Couisnard revenge game, all that. We have our fun with that, but it doesn't really mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. But he's good. South Carolina fans know he's good. I mean, we were talking about him a couple years ago as someone who really good player, a lot of upside, a lot of potential. He's averaging 15 a game this year, doing a little bit of everything, and I think that's something where he's going to have a big game, I think, against South Carolina's guards, who we've said. I mean, we've got Mr. Big Shot, Talon Cooper. You've got guys who have made big plays for them too at the guard position, whether it's Cooper, Meechie Johnson, and so forth. So, this is one of those 6-11 games. To me, anytime you get one of these and, it's a 6-11 and the spread is very, very small, that's when your eyes start to, look a little bit closer because you're thinking, all right, this is a 6 seed and it's an 11 seed. And a lot of this has to do with how Oregon has played recently, even though I always say, remember, it's like I want to see what a team does against bad teams. And Oregon's got some bad losses this year. But, at the same time, they're playing pretty well. They just beat a 2 seed in Arizona, just beat Colorado. But, they're kind of one of those teams too, guys. If you look at their profile, man, have they played a lot of close games this season. And there's not been a ton of separation no matter who they play. Sure, you've had a couple, blowouts along the way, of course. But that's the thing is it's another one of those games where I'm like, man, I'd be stunned if somebody gets blown out here. But the one thing I will say, too, quickly before we move on, sometimes the game is pretty simple. To me, this all comes down to is South Carolina making shots from the perimeter because they take a ton of them, in terms of the percentage, right? Of the number of, I think it's 40-something percent of, the shots come from 3 or whatever it is. I don't know if that's the exact number. But neutral court, all those things, man, an interesting matchup.
Let's talk Oregon a minute. We're an SEC channel. We're going to spend maybe a little bit more time on Oregon today because if you're watching us, you know the Gamecocks if you watch us all season. We will return to a little analysis of them in a minute. But N'Faly Dante was a kid who missed a lot of games. I saw him play the Georgia game. They beat Georgia in the season opener. Dante had 16 points, kind of took that game over late. Had, 16 rebounds, 21 rebounds. Crazy good game. He's 6'11", 230, and boy, when he is on, he can take over a game. By the way, he took over the Pac-12 tournament. Looking at things here, he was the Ken Pom MVP of the last 5 games that his team played, including the 3 games in the Pac-12 tournament in which he went working backwards. 25 points, 14 points, 22 points, and had a good number of rebounds in all those games, averaged a double-double in that tournament. He's the guy to watch. He did miss a good bit of the season. He played the Georgia Open November 6th, did not play again until January 13th. Now, interestingly enough, they started 4-0 in the Pac-12 without him. Check that. Make that 5-0, although one of those was with him. So it was 4-0 without him. What I'm getting at is they did have a little bit of a history of playing well without him. Now, I don't believe for a second that he's not a difference maker because he is, but just going to throw that out there as part of what happened in their season. Now, there's 2 guys if you are SEC fans. One is Jermaine Couisnard, who we talked about him playing at South Carolina. Not a very efficient shooter, 46% effective field goal percentage. Did lead them with 1,109 minutes. And Cardio Quindo, the guy at Georgia who would score 30 points in some games on some very bad Georgia teams, is in a better spot here with Oregon, more efficient shooter, but plays less. So those are 2 guys to watch if you know the SEC. But the big name here is N'Faly Dante, who is their star player and is going to have to be contained for South Carolina to win this game.
Yeah, another angle that I was looking at was free throws. South Carolina gets to the free throw line, the lowest rate in the SEC. Not a huge part of their game plan getting to the line. And Oregon does a really good job at not fouling, 4th lowest rate in the Pac-12. So it's not like we're going to get a situation where South Carolina might get to the line at a higher rate than they normally do. Oregon is a Dana Altman. It's normally what his defenses rank. And another thing is I don't have the numbers right in front of me. I wish I did, but Dana Altman's on a run in March, just like he wins in the tournament, which is also a little bit concerning. And I hate to sound like a Debbie Downer. I feel like I'm sounding like that right now. Just reading off numbers. South Carolina is the lowest single-digit seed on KenPom. They rank 49th. And they're a 6. So they're the lowest. They're lower than every 7, 8, and 9 as a 6 seed. And usually when the predictive metrics are that skewed, it usually comes to fruition in March. The next lowest 6 is Clemson at 34, 15 ranks higher. So according to KenPom and the predictive metrics, South Carolina is primed to be one of those single-digit upsets. And I think if they got a matchup against a front court where Colin Murray-Boyles can get going early and kind of do his thing, then that opens up. They still have to start doubling, kickouts, long closeouts. That's when you get Cooper, Michi, and Studi open for threes and whatnot, and you start to see South Carolina slow the game down. But when the opponent protects the rim and doesn't let Murray-Boyles and BJ Mack get a lot of stuff easy, that's when South Carolina has really struggled this year. So I'm real nervous about this one for the Gamecocks.
Let's go to picks, and I'm gonna give you the number here, Max. You were looking for it. Coach in this tournament with the again, if we're talking coaches who have been here, right, like that have more than just a game or 2 games or whatever. Best win percentage, Dan Hurley, 9-3 per the Action Network. Second best winning percentage, Dane Altman, 18-12, and yeah. So,
all right, picks. I'm the resident stat guy in the bunch. I think that Max made some good points with stats that are a little concerning, as is Nafante Dolly. Dante, excuse me.
Say that again. Like you got to do that again.
Dolly,
right?
That was tremendous.
Yeah,
that was good.
That was great.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
What are you doing?
I'm a big. We're not taking that over.
No, we ain't taking that.
I don't know
out.
where
There's
my
no
head was on
chance.
that.
What are you talking about?
Golly, I don't know what I'm talking about. Obviously. Okay, here's where I was going to go before my brain ate itself. I am concerned because of the similarities between Nafali Dante and Auburn with those guys. But Auburn had 3 of them. Auburn had a little bit more of a presence besides just Janai Broome. I don't think Oregon's guards are super concerning. We talked about Carolina in the computer ratings. Well, some of that's because Colin Murray-Boyles just did not play a big role in Carolina's early games. Either he didn't play or he was getting healthy. And a lot of Carolina's computer metrics were when they were just very mediocre against some bad teams and failed to rack up scoring margins. So I think that's a lot of it. I think when you take that into context and you watch South Carolina play, they've got veteran guards. They are very intelligent. They don't beat themselves. Are there teams that are problematic for South Carolina? Yes, there are. We've seen it, and it's called Auburn. I also trust consistency. This team has been remarkably consistent. Other than Auburn, you want to stay away from Auburn, and guess what? Good news. If you're South Carolina, you get Auburn, it's in the national title game, so you'll take that. I just like the way this team showed up day in and day out. I like the way it was coached. I like the way its guards played. Do I have some concerns with the matchup? Yes, I do. Am I going to pick Carolina anyway? Yes, I am.
Yeah, I mean, Everything you said is true. I hate to do this. I hate to, but I'm gonna be picking Oregon here. It's an 11-6 with a spread of 1. You know, Dante's gonna play 30 plus. He's gonna own. That's the thing that I don't like about this is Oregon has the edge inside. Every time that South Carolina has played a team that has the edge inside, it's been a struggle. The lone non-conference loss is against the best front court they played in the whole non-conference against Clemson, with PJ Hall and Ian Shefflin. So I know they beat Tennessee. That was a great result. But it's the 2 games against Auburn, 40 points, 31 points. I see a lot of Broom and N'Faly Dante. It's scaring the heck out of me. So I'm going Oregon here.
Man. Dana Altman against the spread, again, per the Action Network here. 13-5-1 against the spread as an underdog.
Man.
This game has gone from a pick'em to South Carolina as a 1.5-point favorite. I think even some places I saw it as a 2-point favorite, perhaps, for South Carolina. Max, you and I met some South Carolina fans in Nashville. Sean, a big fan of the show, and I know he's watching right now. Did you know, Max, his birthday is March the 21st, the day this game will be played?
Jeez.
So, it's the NCAA tournament. It's time to get back to basics. It's time to get back to what you do best. You have to go with the strategy that has worked the most in order to get the result that you need. From the very beginning of the season, go all the way back to June, July, whatever, August. We go all the way back then. The strategy that worked the best for South Carolina was us doubting Father Lamont Paris. So therefore, I am also going to doubt Father Lamont Paris and pick Oregon here. I'm going to go with all the trends. Chris's cult of computers, all the data tells us that Oregon should be the pick here. So we're going to lean in on that and see if Chris's computers are right. But again, we play this game at another level, Max. And this is very important because it's the biggest game of the year. Let us once again doubt Father Lamont Paris and see what he does in this game.
I feel like I need to flip my pick for us to make this happen.
Well, I mean, I thought that's what was going to happen. I felt strongly that Max was going to pick Oregon. I thought you were going to pick Oregon. And so I was ready to go with full-on kiss of death. So I had to change it a little bit. My monologue had to change a little bit there. But just know, though, Chris, if South Carolina loses, it's your fault. Just make sure that's clear right now.
Okay, well,
Max.
I'll take responsibility. So. I do, I do like my computers, but I also pay attention to what my eyes tell me when the numbers and the other part doesn't jive. I know you're shocked.
Knew that. I thought you were just a robot.
I got 2 big screens in my bonus room for a reason. They don't just regurgitate Ken Palm on them. So.
I didn't know you used the eye test. I am now a little
What was I using when I sat next to you the whole time in the SEC tournament, buddy?
I just saw a bunch of numbers on the screen. It was like a computer. Yeah, that's all I saw.
Ruined my reputation around here. All right, lots of other games to pick. We'll be here for all those.
Happy birthday, Sean.
Happy birthday, Sean. Happy birthday, Sean. For Max Barr, Blake Lovell, I'm Chris Lee. We're Southeastern 14, presented by BetOnline.